Okay, guys, let's start this then, man. So, yeah. Anyone that's just tuned in, please leave some comments throughout. We'll look at them.
Yeah,
We'll
obviously, if there's any questions, we'll try and answer them as well.
Any questions whatsoever, and I think basically we decided to kind of just like hook up tonight, man, and chill out, have a little discussion about Movember.
Yeah.
And I guess you could probably describe Movember way better than I can, man. What is it that Movember actually stands for? Like, what why does it exist? I mean, I realise it's quite a big topic, but I mean...
obviously, I think anybody who's heard of Movember, and if you haven't, then I'm not sure quite what rock you've been under.
Yeah. It's been around. How long has it been around for, by the way?
It's been around since 2004. Oh. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been doing it myself. We've known each other 10 years.
Yeah.
I've been doing Movember since 2009 when I first did it, and you hosted a comedy evening for me at Belushi's.
That's right.
So it was obviously the beginning of your comedy career.
Essentially.
Before you was, the world-renowned comedian that you are now.
The world-famous comedian that I am now. It was you gave me my big break.
I think that's it.
I think that's what it was.
So, but anyway, Movember, it's been around since 2004. And it's an Australian thing, if anybody knows that. And it's basically where guys shave their faces on the 1st of November.
Yeah.
And grow a moustache.
Okay.
It happened in 2004. It's basically a bunch of friends got together, chewing the cud, just like what we're doing now, having a drink, talking bullshit, and got onto the important subject of why does nobody wear any moustaches anymore? Because there was the big thing. Everybody had them at a certain point in time, and because of that, they decided to then get together, because it was somebody's birthday at the end of the month in December, and grow a moustache just to see who could grow the best moustache.
Okay.
As you are, well aware, men can be arses, and they also like to have a bit of a laugh and take the piss of each other.
Indeed.
For example, your moustache was probably one of the shittest I've ever seen.
Mate, I don't know what is going on with my my testosterone levels, man, but I can't grow a beard for shit. I mean, I just can't. I can't grow a beard. It's literally something that I cannot do. The sides of my face are baby soft.
Yeah.
They've never, and it's not even this goatee thing that's happening. No one can see it from there. It's ridiculously pathetic. But I've not shaved for like a week, and I've got this kind of like that's natural, man. That's like a natural.
You've not shaved any bits.
No.
It just grows in that bit.
No.
Like you've actually had your face in a thing, and it's just.
Yeah.
You sort of spray it on.
Yeah. It's like I've put my face in the end of a Hoover's knob.
Yeah.
And someone's hit reverse.
Yeah.
And they've just put the fluff. They've just put the fluff onto this small area. That's all that is.
It's like in fact, it's like you've actually gone and tried to suck out some petrol, but you've actually got the exhaust instead.
I've got the exhaust.
And somebody's actually turned the fucker on.
Yeah,
and
it's just carbon.
Yeah.
This is soot.
Yeah.
Anyway,
as you know, men like to have a laugh, and the first year that they did it, there was about 30 guys all in the clique, and they all grow a moustache, and they had a party at the end of it because of the friend's birthday party, and that's what it was, and that's one of the things that I always go back to, because I just think it's just such a thing to do that, and grow the moustache, have your friends doing it all, and just be taking the piss of each other, and it all for a good cause.
Yeah.
And that was 2004. They didn't raise any money. They didn't. They just did it for the joke. And the following year, obviously, then everybody was asking, are you doing it again? And obviously everybody got on board.
Yeah. And it grew and grew
it
and
grew.
grew.
And this is all, are you raising money? Are you doing this and whatever? And they started raising funds. And I believe the first year that they actually did that, they raised about 38,000 Australian dollars. And it was only then when they got to the end of it or whatever that it says, look, what we're going to do with it. And they basically looked into then, obviously, it's obviously a man thing and whatever, and looked into it and set up the whole Movember cause, which then pushes to raise awareness for testicular cancer, for prostate cancer, which was obviously the main two things. Through the years, obviously, since I've been doing it, it's then gone to incorporate, obviously, mental health.
Yeah, and this is what I was actually wanting to kind of quiz you about, because from 2004, for the early kind of developing years of the campaign, it was kind of mostly based on prostate cancer, testicular cancer, kind of man cancer essentially. And then it did open up wider to mental health, and that's where I think the campaigners of Movember, or the creators of Movember, they really touched on something there.
Well, I think the theme, the idea of talking about testicular cancer and prostate cancer is obviously one of those things that, like a lot of things, is maybe one of those taboo themes that people don't want to talk about.
I know there's a bit of a weird stigma towards prostate cancer and stuff about the doctor's going to put a finger up your bum and all that kind of stuff, and it's a bit like,
Yes.
I'd say for my generation, and I'm on the cusp of that generation of the last, being 35 years old, people don't really care that much about that, but I'd say that literally from 1980 forwards, the 1980s and earlier, there's such a generation of I know people in my own family who are oh no, I'm not even letting the doctor go down there. I don't. That's a kind of
you've got this
thing
where people taboo that basically, and it's like anything. It's like a lot of subjects. Nobody wants to talk about that. They don't want to admit feelings. And so on, and that's also one of the reasons why I think the whole mental health attitude or thing that they've brought in with that hits it very well, because at the end of the day it's men talking about feelings, which we don't all want to admit that we actually have feelings or what those feelings are. Now obviously going to the doctors and trying to get a lot of men, like you say, the older generation, to the doctors generally, whether a hole in the head or whatever, it's just not going to happen. And so trying to get them to say, get to the doctors and get your tackle out and be checked, it's just one of those things. I think for women, I know that obviously a lot of women, there's always the women in our lives, whatever, they're always making an appointment with a gynecologist and the yearly checkup, but it just seems to be a normal thing. And it's not normal for men.
For men, it's not. It really isn't. I know, my dad, for example, he doesn't even want to go to the doctor, because if he's, there could be something really serious, going on with him. He doesn't want to go to the doctor because he's frightened that the doctor will give him even worse information than what he's actually going to the doctor for. Or he's worried that he's going to be oh, you're 70 years old, or you're 60 years old, or you're 50 years old, you should go, it's about time you should be getting a prostate exam. And people are just so kind of embarrassed about that, man. It's very... it always kind of fathers me a little bit.
I can understand it, because at the end of the day, it's something that they're not used to. But it's also, I did in Movember for a few years now, like I said, 9 years or so, And I would say it's only been within the last 5 years or so where I've actually gone and got checked. I mean, it's one of those things where I think to myself, it's okay preaching about getting everybody to go and check it, but then if I'm not doing it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, it's all right telling you to, everybody go out and get the COVID vaccine now, but if I'm not doing it, then why am I telling this stuff? So
yeah,
that's also something that obviously I did. I've actually got one just down the road from me, a urologist. Made the appointment, went in, told him I'm there for the check. He took the testicles in the hand, had a feel to obviously feel if there's any hard lumps or whatever. And yeah, I mean, this is stuff that we can do ourselves.
Yeah,
but
you need to be told how to do it.
Yeah, but it's also stuff that he sees every day, and he can, he has a feel with a fumble. Yeah, okay, I'm a straight man, and it's weird another guy having my testicles in his hand, but he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Excuse the pun, but he's got many testicles in the hand all day, and
all day.
Yeah.
He's a testicle doctor.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
And so it's sort of pretty normal, and the same with the whole finger in the bum. It's obviously the easiest way to get to feel the prostate.
Yeah, if it's inflamed or...
If it's inflamed, if it's a different shape or anything like that. And so obviously that's the easiest way, and again, it's uncomfortable. But, I think it's uncomfortable for anybody having the finger in the bum. But I'd rather have a yearly check where I can go along, get checked, and know that they're basically catching it as soon as they can, than having something that's gone then too far and then is then being looked at afterwards and cared for and trying to make sure it's okay rather than catching it as soon as.
So it's kind of like it's up to the... So the thing is, with many aspects of life, it's up to the individual to kind of take control of a situation, because no one else is going to do it for you, man. The doctor's not going to call you up on a yearly basis and go, hey, Mr. Davis, where were you yesterday for your appointment? Or it's about time, we should be making another appointment for you. People don't do that.
No, well, I think that's for me as well. Like I said, I grow the moustache. I do the Movember thing, and whether I've, I mean, obviously in the past we've done some comedy gigs, we've tried to raise money, and
by the way, this is why we're here tonight, because we can't physically do any comedy gigs.
No.
So we've just decided to kind of hang out and do this instead.
It just seems that obviously in the COVID world, everybody's gone online and doing the virtual things. Obviously, I hope somebody is out there watching. Turned on, turned off, and gone. But we have to sort of reach our audiences a little bit differently nowadays, and that's why obviously we're here via Facebook Live and talking about it now.
Yeah, man, it's really important, very important to talk about this stuff, man. Is there, now that we've kind of like covered what Movember is and what it kind of stands for and the campaign that's behind it, is there anything in particular that you would want to like touch on? Other than my prostate?
Later. What obviously, I mean, like I say, it's one of those things, and I think one of the more important things at this moment in time, with Corona and everybody being sort of, I don't know, whatever country you're in some sort of lockdown. Yeah. Is obviously there's the mental health side of things. Because what you're finding, like I say, is that the Movember, let me have a quick thing, about 4 or 5 years ago came along with the whole mental health attitude, because it's in the same sort of theme of things, is that getting basically men to talk. Yeah. Whether it's getting them to talk about going to the doctors, whether it's talking, about all of these things, about their health. The whole joke about having man flu is this whole thing that it's actually worse than it is, because we're actually, don't like to react to us actually being dependent on somebody else to being that. And with that, obviously, the mental health side of things, it then actually encompasses actually the actual need to talk. And mental health is, we're talking about depression, we're talking about suicide, and the one of the selling points of Movember at the moment is basically they're wanting to reduce the amount of men dying young unneeded by 25% in the next 10 years or so.
I think there's a massive amount of I can't remember the numbers offhand, man. I could look it up right now. But the suicide rate for men under 20 is ridiculous, and I think it's like 90% is because of kind of like homophobic stuff, or because they think they're gay or whatever. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm just going to look at the where I was telling the truth there about the Movember, because they're basically.
God, you know what fucking drives me crazy, man? Autocorrect. 13 per 100,000.
Yeah.
Which is quite high. I mean, that's way higher than COVID. COVID is like 3 per 100,000.
Sorry, so by 2030, so in 10 years' time, to reduce the number of men dying prematurely by 25%. So if you imagine how many of those are, there's and since they've been going in 2003, they've funded more than 1,250 health projects around the world.
Wow, that's
so
loads.
It really is. But I think, I've raised money in the past with it all. I'm obviously trying to raise money this year as well. But it's getting it's changing people's attitudes, which is the important thing.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not about going to the doctors and getting checked or whatever, but it's also now, with the whole mental health, men being able to talk about the problems. It's hard for us to talk about real feelings. We're sat here talking now, we're not going to quite get onto the stories of love and feelings and all this other stuff. But the idea of somebody being depressed and down, and we've spoke earlier as well, you're pretty much in it yourself all day, every week, and whatever for the moment.
Yeah,
and it's this disconnection at the moment that we've all got.
Yeah.
Where people do need to reach out to friends and actually be in touch with everybody, and just make sure that they know that the other people are there to help and talk about stuff if they are feeling down.
But there's a weird kind of thing, like, how often do you talk, or do men talk about their feelings to each other? Like how often does that happen, man? I always think of like this kind of like machoism, or
yeah, well that's it. It's the breaking down of that macho ego that we've got to push towards, because otherwise we're all going to be these bully boy men and never talking about it, and then fall into one wayside because they couldn't talk about it. People are committing suicide because they have problems. They think that's obviously one of the problems with depressive people, is that what they're going through on a daily basis, because they're unable to talk to other people, they don't realise that other people are also in this sort of state of mind.
Yeah. There's nothing better than telling someone a problem that you have, and then they go, I've experienced that as well. Yeah. And then there's a bridge that you can.
Yeah, but without the initial conversation, then there's never going to be this. It's like an idea, an idea of the forming of two previous ideas or whatever. There's the connection in the brain or whatever, and this connection's never going to happen if you don't actually openly decide you've got to change and try and communicate with those around you.
Yeah.
Friends, close friends, family, mothers, brothers, and sisters. You know, it's all.
How do you do it, man? How do you break that? How do you enter that moment? Because I mean, I know from coming from, I mean, I think the UK in general is a wee bit of a kind of uptight kind of nation anyway, and they don't let you easily in. But coming from Glasgow with a family of kind of, they're just very much kind of like get up and go, and don't dwell on your problems. They give you a swift kick up the arse and you get on with it and stuff. It's very difficult to infiltrate any of that kind of world, or for and that is very similar. I can assume for men across the globe, to kind of, how can you take like another like male friend, or talk to your dad or your brother or your uncle and kind of pull them aside and go,
It is hard. It's not easy. I mean, I think that's one of the first things I'll say, is that it's not easy because, like I say, there's this thing. I mean, I can go back to the time I wasn't feeling so great. I ended up in hospital.
Yeah.
You was there. You was actually one person that did visit me.
Yeah, I came and visit you. Yeah.
I wasn't doing so great. End of a marriage and all the other stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
And I ended up in a hospital, what they call here stationary, over here, where you actually admitted.
Yeah.
And I ended up on a ward there in a German hospital. I don't think that my German was that great at the time. I could speak German, but I definitely wasn't fluid in speaking it.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably where I learnt a lot of German.
You were there for like 3-4 weeks?
I was there for a month.
A month,
I was there for a month, just before Christmas 2011.
Yeah.
Anyway, but just the reason why I get onto that is because you came and visited me, and I think at the time I'd maybe posted some stuff online on here, as you do on Facebook or whatever, about me being in the hospital, and I can remember you saying, "Are you sure about posting this? I just be careful because of obviously what people think about who's reading this and what people are thinking about you, because I'm then posting about personal breakup, head not doing too well."
Exactly.
And I think I told you at the time that I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because that's basically sometimes the attitude that you've got to have, because if I've got friends out there that obviously on in the World Wide Web here, friends that I or extended friends, because obviously everybody on Facebook is not necessarily a friend.
Yeah.
But if I've got people out there that want to judge me because of me not doing too well, then I don't really need them as friends.
Well, man, that is such a kind of fucked up place that we're in right now, man. Is that when there's a kind of a second face or a third face that you have on social media. You have to. It's like the old photograph theory, where whatever photographs you take, it's always of happy moments.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what social media is as well. Social media is just these moments of happiness, and people don't engage with you if you're going to be sad or posting things about mental health, or saying something like, "Oh man, we're now in I'm now in hospital, like help me out, blah blah blah." It's very, very important, man, to like open up in a very personal way, in a very close way, and a very like real way, for you to post something on Facebook. How many people are going to? I mean, you're going to get a thumbs up. You're going to get a love heart. No one's actually going to talk to you about it. But I guess that this is the 21st century, man. People are now. This is kind of what people do now, man. This is how people actually want to like communicate with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, sorry. The reason why I'm just fapping here is because obviously, back when it happened, for example, you know.
Was that what you...
That was the day where basically I went into hospital.
Can you post that to this?
I might be able to, yeah, but that was basically the day that it happened, and I ended up being in submitted. And
so that was
the next day.
That was the next day.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you need to post that on here for people to see.
I just wasn't doing great, but basically I'd started the month. I'd started doing Movember, and I'd been doing all these funny photos and stuff and whatever, and that was all great. But then all this shit was happening in the background and going on and whatever, and it just got to this day, and you know, I ended up getting admitted into hospital there, and I wasn't doing so great, and then I had to do this thing, carry on doing the thing that I did there. I mean, obviously there's smiley faces afterwards and whatever, but it's like you say, there's this disconnection of what is good enough, and we only post the photos.
Well, that's it, man. We only kind of want people to see the good side of us, man. Yeah. When people see the bad side, it's almost like a kind of cry for help. It's like when you see people on Facebook and they go, "Oh, I'm in the hospital," or they post a picture of them in bed and stuff. They're kind of looking for this sympathy vote. It's not always the case. I'm just kind of like expressing something, you know. But yeah, man, it's a very interesting thing to try and get people to open up. Most people to open up, but particularly men. It's a weird one, man. People don't get it. I think I heard my dad for the first time, and he's a 70-year-old man, for the first time in all my life that I'd known him, say that he was depressed. Just use those words, that he was depressed. He's now no longer depressed. He got out of his funk, but it was very interesting to hear that from a 70-year-old man from Glasgow who goes, "I'm depressed," and you're just like,
is that as far as it went? Well, I mean, did he actually then talk about the things?
Yeah, he talked about. He talked about the things that were depressing him.
Okay. Yeah. Because all I'm thinking is that sometimes it's easy to just say I'm depressed, and then that's it. It's like, it. All right, well, I bet right. Okay.
But a good friend, regardless of gender and fairness, man, will be like that. Well, how can I help you out? Like, what what's going on? But yeah, that was a very interesting moment for me. Very interesting moment where he was like, I'm depressed. I feel like I'm a burden, and I don't want to stress anyone else out.
Yeah.
With my feelings. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can understand that because I could, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm your son.
Yeah.
So if there's anyone in this world that you should be able to talk to something close about, it should be your son, you know. It's either your father or your son. Your father's no longer here. I'm your son. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And in fairness, man, he did, and we sorted it out. We just talked it through. The small things that were bothering him, we talked it through, man. And now he's happier for that.
Yeah.
And it's just about...
Yeah, but I bet you are as well. I mean, just the idea that your dad has opened up and...
Dude, the fact that he said, even the words that he was depressed, I was like, right, like, what can I do? How can I help?
Yeah. Were you shocked? When he said that to you?
A wee bit shocked. I wasn't surprised, but I was a wee bit shocked. But I think the thing that felt the worst was I wasn't there. And it was trying to get through to him, you know, because he said, look, you're not here, you don't understand, you're not seeing it.
You was here in Berlin and he was there.
Exactly.
It wasn't like a one-to-one.
No. Okay. To put things into perspective, this happened like maybe 4 months ago.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then I said, well, look, it doesn't matter that I'm not like physically present. We can still talk.
I'm still here for you.
Yeah. And that's all it needed to be, man. That's all it needed to happen.
Sorry, I just wanted to go back to when you first talking about the age different, and like I say, your father, the older guy from Glasgow, and you know, Hardman and stuff.
Yeah.
And the different reactions to stuff, but also, obviously, after I'd been in hospital, obviously I came out and, you know, I was doing better. I felt, you know, okay. I'd been alone in the hospital for a month and whatever, and coming in, I came back to what was the empty house, empty flat there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, right enough.
obviously, you know, it was just a shell basically. But it was then obviously the time where I ended up having to speak to my father as well and explain to him that I'd been in hospital, because I'd not actually been in hospital. I think my sister knew and so on. Yeah, but then explaining to my dad about me being in hospital, and it was sort of this. It's not that bad, is it, Darren? It's not that. As if it was like I was sort of bullying up the whole idea that this things could be whatever.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, and I think obviously whilst I was in hospital, I'd been then talking to the psychologist or whatever and about stuff, and obviously that brings back a lot of stuff from the childhood as well and whatever, and you know, explaining to him about some of the feelings that I'd had is probably because of my childhood and stuff. Yeah, and it was.
Did you try and breach that with him?
I tried to, but it was then this sort of standoffish.
I know. That's so fucking crazy.
Not being able to. It wasn't that bad, was it? Come on, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just this really hard. And
you're like, listen, man, I've been put in hospital. Yeah. I've been put in a psychiatric ward for the issues that I've got going on, man. I'm trying to talk to them with you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to talk to them. I'm trying to talk about them with you.
Yeah.
And you're kind of brushing off.
Non-acceptance of
well, so there's a number of things going on there, man. Because there's this non-acceptance. I'm not going to get dragged into this. What you're going through, because I don't want to deal with my own problems, because if I start talking to you about your problems about childhood and fatherhood, maybe I'm going to open up a can of fucking worms that's going to go into my fatherhood, and he's dead, so how the hell am I supposed to kind of... So there's just so many different... But there really is so many different levels, so many different aspects that so... People are so worried that if you just open up something that you're not going to be able to close those doors again.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
But I really think it's okay to just open the doors.
I think to a certain point there's always this box that's got to be opened up and never going to be able to be shut, because at the end of the day you're changing as a person. You're not going to be the same when your dad now that he's spoken to you now about these problems and whatever, and it's gone over, he's going to be a totally different person with you as to how he was previously.
Dude,
because he's just going to be able to talk to you about any old shit.
Dude, the past 4 months of talking to him on the phone have been so very different from the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I can count on the one hand over the past 10 years how many times my dad has called me. And in the past 6 months, via through COVID and the pandemic and stuff, and you know, because he was locked in alone and not doing so good and alone, simply alone, drinking, not eating, sick, and then once he told me that, I've been calling him. Sorry,
how old is he?
He's 70.
70. Okay, the same age as mine.
Okay.
And obviously, I know that my dad's. He lives in Lincolnshire, so it's not like Glasgow where it's in the middle of the town. My dad's in a village in the middle of Lincolnshire and totally away from everything. So even though that is the case, he's still shitting his pants about COVID.
Yeah.
Because he's not going out, he doesn't go out and so on and stuff. And he's 70 years old, and obviously he's still thing, but it does affect you. Even
is he a fairly positive person, your dad? Like, does he talk to you? By the way, like, I just kind of put that question out there, man. But I would also like to come back to like what I'm very interested to know what he said when you asked him about like.
That's it.
Did he just shut you off?
Yeah, it didn't really go any further. It was just like it wasn't that bad, was it, Darren? So it was like.
So did the psychologist say to you, "Here, man, you should go talk to your dad
about
this stuff"?
No. I mean, me talking to my dad was just me wanting to sit down, and because I was alone. I was alone in the middle of Berlin. I'd obviously been in hospital for a month. I'd not really got that many close friends around or anything like that, and basically that was me sort of reaching out to family back home to just let them know where I'd been and whatever, and like I say, I'd probably been more in touch with my mum, and I mean, like, it's one of those things. My relationship with my father is not one of those close things. I used to do you know, I always wanted. I did some comedy about it back when I did some comedy with you. That I always wanted this Gillette father-son thing with him.
I think I remember.
The best the man can get.
Yeah,
and then, but then it's like my dad then grew a beard. And so it's like, what the fuck? How am I supposed to have a Gillette best the man I can get if it's fucking got a beard on it? It's going
That's
whatever.
Good.
So,
Yeah.
But I always wanted that but it never happened, and it's like you know, even my sister as well. Like now we just know how he is now, and it's like with a lot of older generation that they are who they are. I mean, I know I'm growing into a grumpy old man slowly anyway. You know, moaning and bitching about everything, but they are who they are, and you can't change them. But I think that my relationship with how my father is definitely a reaction to that one that then is knocking on to my relationship with my children. Obviously,
yeah, man. So that was actually something I wanted.
I'm divorced from their mother. They're grown up now and stuff, but even now, since my son's had my grandson, his son, we're every week in contact and stuff, and FaceTiming and stuff, and all the other stuff now. And
so
I think it's great. I'm so, and I think my son will probably hate me for saying that, but every time that we talk and he says goodbye, he says I love you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just something that I didn't quite have with my dad, and I want my son to know he can talk to me about stuff as well. So it's I think, you know, like you say, this what is then not happens there spurns a reaction in the opposite direction here. Maybe I've no idea.
It's so nice, man. It's so nice that you have that relationship with your son, and I think basically there must be. We'll read that in a wee minute, but like I think there must be. We've reached the most pinnacle point, a crescendo in our like kind of timeline in humanity, that we are at this moment probably the most open that we have ever been. Any point prior to this has been closed and dank and damp and dark, you know. I think we basically definitely get our feelings out a lot more now. Debbie's saying something. Should we read that out?
Oh, here, sorry.
Due to pandemic, he's become more anxious. A lack of knowledge. Is that just in general or about the pandemic? However, the last few years, he's more open to mental health.
Yeah, this is obviously talking about my dad here.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Debbie, pal, for that. Good to see you on board. Good to see you here with us, having a wee chat. And thanks everyone else, by the way, for the comments. Francisco, Vladimir, Marvin.
Is that open for? Is that a live, or is it just closed up to your viewers?
No, it's anyone
open to the world.
Yeah, it's open to the world.
Okay.
Anyone can. This is public. Anyone can join in. Share it if you're watching. No, this is how conversations about mental health should be going.
If the conversation's flowing, then the wine should be.
So is the wine. But yeah, man. I think it's basically extremely important to open up and talk about stuff, man. I think we've without getting too dark too quickly. I think we've. Hello, Stuart. That's my cousin. Thank you, pal. Welcome to the little stream about Movember and mental health and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get too dark too quickly, but I think on the point of not being able to talk about it and not being able to approach or breach any sort of heavy discussion about depression or mental health, or I think as well, man, sometimes we throw this word depression around like way too quickly. It's just sometimes a fucking concern. That's all it is. You're just concerned about how the world is moving, about your own thoughts sometimes about some things, and it doesn't need to be so like, are you depressed? And it's like, well, no, I'm not depressed, man. I'm just talking about.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about some odd little wee dark thought.
I think one of the things that always got me is obviously through the depression and so on and whatever. I ended up obviously on tablets, and one of the things that always seemed to annoy me about obviously going to see the doctor and talking about it when with antidepressants or whatever, is that these tablets or whatever are there to obviously pick you up a little, you know, just not have this, all the chemical imbalances and whatever as they do it. But then the doctor would then come and ask you how you're feeling. And
right.
How are you doing this week? And it's like, I don't know.
It's too big a question.
It's too big. It's too big a thing.
Yeah, it's too vague a question.
For me,
it's too big a question, too big an answer.
It would have made more sense for somebody who's depressive and to be on tablets or whatever, to have the friends and family go with them.
Yeah. Because
it's only your friends and family that then see, he's perked up a little bit, he's not being as so and so or whatever. Yeah. But it was just such a hard thing to then be visiting your doctor, and of course you like me and you talking, how you doing? I'm all right. I'm depressed. No, I'm not depressed. I wouldn't, not talking about that. But the thing is then you then go into a doctor's and is giving you the tablets or whatever, and you go in and it says, how you feeling? And you sort of semi-automatic want to say, I'm feeling all right. It's just this automatic, I'm doing good. I'm better than last week or whatever, and I got out of bed this week. I didn't get out of bed last week or whatever, and it's this stuff, and it's the whatever, and it's really really hard to then talk about this stuff. But yeah,
people kind of pose like they give you a question, and it can be so vague sometimes as to kind of how are you doing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, that's quite a vague question, man, and I've got quite a big answer to it,
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the thing, man. Like, you and I will call each other up enough times, and I always know that when you ask me how you doing, I know that that's a genuine question of how are you doing.
Yeah.
And I'm very much happy to kind of say, man, not so good, or things are stressy, or blah blah blah. And you're always kind of there to kind of give a secondary response to that and be like, man, right, so what's going on? Blah, blah, do you want to meet? Whatever. There's just so many people that don't do that, man.
I think one of the problems there is that this how you doing has become like it's like learning French. Ça va bien, merci. It was this automatic response.
Yeah.
And that if somebody says how you doing, you say I'm fine, and it was this whatever, and then it's actually. Or then saying how you doing, and then realising you don't have to say I'm fine.
Yeah.
What was the fucked up in the... My friend had a good one for fine. I'm doing fine. It was fucked up, indecisive, neurotic, and whatever. That was basically his meaning behind it all.
Okay.
But no, what I was getting at is that if somebody's asking you how you're doing, then you need an answer. But then also for me, if I'm going to be asking you how you're doing, then I need to be at least able to give you some feedback.
Oh no, I like that. That's actually a very, very, very good point. I like that.
Because it's, at the end of the day,
if you're going to ask someone like, how are you, be prepared to get some...
To give some feedback or some help or whatever.
No, absolutely.
I mean,
because there's nothing worse than someone saying, how are you? And you go, I'm not so good, man.
Yeah.
It's been a rough week. And someone goes... well, I've got some salmon tonight for dinner, and my kids are.
That's basically where I was going with the conversation with my father.
Yeah.
So that you go, all right, okay, and then it's like, what's the weather been like?
No, man. I mean, that happens too often.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, trying to get past that, and then realise that you can talk from your point of view.
Where does that come from, man? Like. Because I know that's a huge question to ask, right? But does it come from like the kind of particular background that you're from? Does it come from? Does it come from a social class? Does it come from like a particular person that you are, a personality, gender?
I seriously think it's because I ended up where I did, because I was in a.
No, I don't mean like where you, how you ended up feeling down or sad or whatever.
No, but how I learned to talk.
Yeah.
Because of where I ended up there in the hospital. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think I've always been anybody who knows me and my sister. My sister was always the outgoing one. She was always the one playing outside. I was always the withdrawn introvert inside playing on my computer and no friends and whatever. And so I was always the quiet one.
She does seem more introvert for sure, or extrovert rather.
Yeah.
But you don't. For all the time that I've known you, which has been over 10 years. Mm-hmm. I think introvert isn't something that I would attach to you.
I think about 2000 or so. I'd also gone through a divorce there. And this was also another time when I wasn't sort of whatever. But then I started doing a English GCSE again on my own time because I wanted to do something and whatever. And as I was learning English, and I seemed to have sort of come a little bit out of my shell, like I say, wasn't so timid and whatever. And
definitely when I first, because I met you basically when you were on the stage. That's how we got to know each other, essentially.
Well, we met at the Comedy Improv.
That's right.
Yeah. And you'd done your first drunken episode at Kookaburra with your comedy.
That's right.
Where you pretty much explained how you'd been doing your comedy all with the head bowed because she was too shit in it to actually speak to the audience.
That's
and
right.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And then you had invited me to Joe's bar or whatever, and then the whole
then it went
world of English comedy in Berlin opened up.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, I think before that I'd obviously started doing this English, and I'd sort of come out of my shell in answering questions, being the one to have an opinion on something. And obviously writing helped me as well, getting in the stories and whatever, and just then sort of realising that I could talk about stuff and whatever. But I certainly think that maybe being open about the whole conversation thing is definitely something, a product of me not being too well there and learning a little bit how to talk about feelings and stuff.
It's just so important. It's something I do feel very strongly about, man, is being able to communicate any sort of weird feelings that one has to another person. It's the only other thing that can help you. You can try and escape in books, you can try and escape in computer games, drugs, alcohol, even through creative endeavours. You can try your hardest to escape as much as you want in them, but the only real thing that can help you, I think, is having a conversation with someone. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as they're on the other side, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is. The one thing as well is that, like I say here about having, asking you how you're doing, and then me obviously then saying, okay, well, have you thought about doing this?
Yeah.
Is that obviously sometimes when you do have somebody who's depressive or whatever, I'm not a doctor. I'm there to help, and if you want to talk, then you can talk. But I can only do so much, and I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
And I think that's also one of the things is that anybody who then obviously gets into sort of conversations like that, it's then like, okay, where do we go with that, and so on.
But you know, my girlfriend says something quite often to me that just is like a really, just a golden piece of information that hadn't quite hit me the way it does until I met her. And she's a good listener, and I think it's good. What she says is, she'll let me talk at her about whatever problem that I've got, and she won't say anything back. And I'm like, so what do you think? And she's like, well, doesn't it feel good that you spoke about it? Because sometimes when you talk about it to someone, you just, whatever your problem is, you verbalise it, and you kind of find yourself working out your own problem. just by verbalising it, man.
It's actually a good point, that, because
and she sometimes just sits there and says,
one
"No,
of the
I've
things,
figured out one problem."
one of the things that obviously happened with me being there, whatever, is that I ended up going to see a psychologist. English-speaking psychologist, luckily enough for me in Stiglitz here, so I was then going to see her, and I went once a week for so long, and then every other 2 weeks or whatever. And obviously you then go in, how you feeling, and you get onto some subject and talking about this, talking about that, whatever. And she's obviously just sat on the other side of the room, making notes, and she'd then ask you this or ask you that, whatever. And so far into it, you suddenly sort of thinking, oh, she's going to have some answers for me soon and tell me all about it or whatever. But then what you realise is that you've been going to then to speak to this person then, and what you then do is realising that the time that you leave there to the time that you come back, you're actually working through what you've just been talking about to then give the answers the next week.
To the stuff that you're sorting out your own problems.
Yeah. And so basically you're sort of, it's just this, it could be a bloody robot or a plant pot in the corner. And you're sat there talking about it.
Talk to a bloody bonsai tree.
I mean, maybe it's a new business venture now that everybody's got all of the comedians and counsellors and artists have all got to retrain. Maybe we should be training plant pots to listen to people's problems so they can solve their own problems.
Dude, if you can get like Little Shop of Horrors as a kind of psychiatric kind of thing, then absolutely. What's Debbie saying?
Here, we've created an open forum in our generation within our family now. With our children, that mental health is not bad, everyone has it. It's good to talk and listen.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is, man. That's it. So just a small thing. I can't see how much battery is like left on the camera.
Will we just see it 5 minutes after we die?
Well, it's going to say, we'll say like that it's ended.
Okay.
But it's like 54 minutes we've been live.
Okay.
Which is quite substantial.
Yep.
I think it's got like a maximum of like 1 hour 5, maybe 1 hour 10.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want to do it, man. If you want to kind of, we should give it 5 minutes and then we kind of say some goodbyes and then we just kind of talk over that. Okay, cool. Is there anything that you would like to maybe, is there anything in particular that you might want to get off your chest, or you wanted to kind of approach tonight or something?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously, like I say, I'm doing the Movember stuff. I'm trying to raise funds for that. If anybody wants to donate, then obviously that's a great thing. Obviously, we can post a link there.
The link is on, we're going to post it again, but the link is on my page. So just the latest post that I've done is the donation link.
Yeah,
for
I mean, it doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to be lots. Anything is appreciated.
Yeah.
But much more appreciated is that if you do actually listen to this, then please, if you do have a man in your life, father, son, brother, husband, please go and get them to, think about getting to the doctors and getting a check.
Yeah. What is actually the age that you should be kind of getting checked for prostate? Is it over 35 or something?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously started a few years back, and I think the first year where I wasn't, but then obviously it's free after 45 to be then getting the yearly checkup and whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, this happens. This sort of stuff that does happen, it happens to young men as well. So it's not always the older generation, but it's usually there where it goes unseen for a few years.
Yeah,
so
man, just get it checked out, man. Get it checked out. There's nothing to be scared of. It's you're going to have peace of mind, which is probably going to have a knock-on effect on your mental health.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. I mean, like I do Movember, I basically pencil in my appointment every year in November. I go in and arrange it so I know whilst I'm doing my Movember stuff, I'll go and get checked as well, and then it's sorted. I don't have to think about when I'm going to do it again. It's sorted. So That's the thing. Obviously, talking about any problems that you've got, especially in these COVID times, is good. And yeah, I think, you know, I don't want to bore everybody on their Wednesday evenings. It's nice that anybody has actually been in.
I mean, I don't.
Oh yeah, sorry. My sister-in-law,
Yeah.
Paul, my
Yeah.
brother-in-law as such, was 33 when he found out he'd got testicular cancer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Guys,
So,
that's important shit. That's important
33
information,
years old,
man.
it's stuff. I mean, obviously, is fine. He went
Cheers,
through,
Debbie,
through
for
all
that,
the,
mate.
all
That's
the
that's some
chemo
good.
and stuff.
That's some good info.
And also,
and Paul's fine, or
had a child after that as well. So, you know, it's not
it's
all bad
important
news.
to. I know, but it's important to just get it checked out, man.
Yeah.
You know, it genuinely is. Yeah, get it checked out, man. Like, oh yeah, you can. It's the difference, literally, between like years of pain or not.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
it's
I
as
mean,
simple as.
Yeah, totally, man.
And, you know, talking to people is always good. If you're not quite ready to speak to people, then you can always find yourself a local barkeeper.
There you go. That's right. Yeah, you can always find yourself a local barkeeper.
Because barkeepers are unofficial, I don't know.
Well, we're unofficial a number of things. We're unofficial tour stayer, so like bouncers, doormen. We are unofficial DJs. We're unofficial cleaning persons. We are unofficial psychiatrists, for sure.
Yeah.
And we are official, you know, drink makers.
Yeah, well, that's like secondary, really, compared to the rest.
Compared to the rest, man, that is secondary. If you can make a, you know, the CV for a barkeeper should be, can you talk to someone with a level head, with a level mind? That's really what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
Can you make a gin tonic? Stuart's saying the damn government shut my local pub. Well, I mean, this is why we're doing this, man. This is why we're we're trying to do this.
Otherwise, we would actually be in your pub doing a Movember gig now.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm really
Is that a good pub?
I have no idea what his local pub is.
Well, we need to find out for next year.
I don't know where his local pub is. No doubtedly in Scotland, though. Do you want to go to Scotland and do
why
it?
not? Let's plan it.
Stuart comes to Berlin from time to time, though. So, I mean, Debbie. Last time I saw Debbie was last year.
Oh.
I think we should get Debbie over, so that we could get Debbie and Paul over. Get Debbie, Paul, and Co over, and maybe we can get them over next November, and we can organise something 2021. Something.
Three old chaps would have loved that.
Stuart should come over with the three old chaps.
Yeah.
And anyone that's been watching this, anyone that's here, we should get them over for a Berlin. I can stay at my place, stay at your place.
One of his old chaps isn't his penis, is it? I mean, when he's talking about his old chap.
I'm not really sure, man. If I know any of my family, it could be. I mean, if someone says we've got three old chaps,
yeah,
it could be anything.
Okay.
It could be anything.
We're off. Whatever, as long as I can raise a couple of quid.
Well, I tell you what, man. I think we, given that the camera might die any moment, I would rather kind of just say a little kind of easy outro. Rather than kind of just get cut off, man. I think, to be honest, mate, I think we should do this again. This was great.
Why not?
I love this. I think people, you know, talking about mental health in general is so bloody important. If it can be on a platform like this, all the more reason to kind of do something like this, man. I think we've covered a lot of ground.
I think we've done quite well for the time that we've had.
And I would
even finished the bottle of wine.
Oh, well, that needs to get tanked. So I would say I'll post if you scroll down from where you're watching. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to. Oh shite!
Oh.
Look, what I'm going to do here.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm literally...
That's it. So
Yeah.
just post.
Yeah, I know, but it's going to not really come on the... So I've posted...
Oh, on the comments.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to put it on the comments, but... yeah, how can we get back there? Doesn't matter. No, I can do it. Okay, so anyway, I've posted it again there. And there it is in the comments. There's the link, guys. It's in the comments for if you want to donate to Movember. Throw Daren a couple of quid. I mean, come on, it's the cost of a pint to get him closer to his deadline. What is it? You're only 85 quid short or something so far?
I'm doing too well. I mean, I've kept it low. I mean, I don't expect... Everybody else has got a lot of things to worry about this year. So it's not like I can be asking the world of things. So I'm happy for every nickel and cent.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, guys. We're going to say goodbye. Thanks, Daren. I wish you all the best with your little campaign.
And Carlos. This year is called Carlos.
Is Carlos is the name of your
Carlos,
Mo?
yeah. I like to name them.
Okay.
Yeah. I've had Brian in the past and whatever.
Can I just quickly before we die? Where's Carlos? The reason?
Because he's got a bit of a Spanish-French feel to him.
Spanish-French feel. Okay, I like it.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see the end how he's doing.
Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll leave it there. It was an absolute pleasure to have you all here, and we'll do it again. So, okay. Enjoy yourselves. Goodbye.
Cheers.